Hey guys, good evening and welcome to the Ironman 70.3 New York course info, tips and tricks, and Q&A. Appreciate you taking the time out of your taper to join me here this evening. My hope is to provide you with some information that will help increase your confidence and reduce your stress as race day approaches so that you can have your best experience there in Jones Beach possible, produce your fastest race results and maximize the enjoyment of this opportunity to check out this inaugural race that is really set to be neat and special. My name is John Mayfield. I am a full time triathlon coach. I am both USA Triathlon Level 2 and Ironman U certified. And I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of athletes from first timers to professionals and everyone in between. So, what I want to do here this evening is share some of my experience both as a long course athlete for well more than a decade and a coach for more than a decade as well to pass on some tips just to help you again produce your best results and enjoy this process as much as possible. So, as it is a new race, we no one has done it before. But that said, it's a very straightforward course. It's very simple. In fact, I can't think of another event out there that has really a more simple swim, bike, and run course. So it's really going to come down to execution, and it should be a really fast day. So you're set for a great PR. So, a couple tips to consider before the race as we head in. It's going to be critical that you stay hydrated. And this goes for the days leading into the race, which is going to set up your race start, and then staying hydrated throughout the race itself. So, it's it's important to arrive at the start line with a full level of hydration. So, my recommendation is to have a water bottle with you at all times in those last couple days as race day approaches, but not just pure water. Need to get some electrolytes in there as well. If you drink a whole bunch of water in the days leading into the race, that's going to flush out your electrolytes, which is counterproductive. So, in those last couple days, water with electrolytes, making sure to stay fully hydrated. My go-to in the days leading into a race is vitamin water. I like the vitamin water product, but I also like the vitamin water bottle, and I'm going to come back to that here in just a few minutes. Limit the time spent on your feet. You've got a lot of work to do on race day, so make sure that you're not overdoing it in the days leading into the race. Now, that doesn't mean to skip your workouts and just sit on the couch all day. Those last minute sessions are critical. And you have other things you have to do as well. You've got to go down to the expo and check in. You have to go and drop off your bike the day before the race. So we want to just manage the amount of time spent on your feet and just be aware of that and then pair that with recovery. So the more time you spent on your feet throughout the day, spend more time in recovery later in the afternoon or that evening. So keep up your routines with your foam roller, compression boots, whatever it has been working for you. Keep that up through race day and even beyond. Check out the course. Now, as I mentioned, this course is very straightforward, not a whole lot to it, certainly nothing technical, but it's still a good idea to go and see exactly what you're going to be in store for on race day. Bike and run are both multiple loops, so it's not like you have to go drive a full 56 miles to see the entire bike course. You can pretty much cut that in half and go see it all relatively quickly and know exactly what you're going to experience on race day. Um, there is a very good chance that the aid stations will already be marked. So you'll see exactly where those are going to be located. Those are typically marked with brightly colored duct tape on the road, so you can see where the aid stations are, the bathrooms, all that. And again, just get a feel for what you're going to encounter on race day. You can check for any perils. Now, roads here are in really good shape as a rule. But there can always be potholes or things like that. Good idea just to go and see the course and know exactly what it is that you are going to be in store for. You can go see the water at any point, but there is no swimming allowed outside of Friday afternoon. So Friday afternoon, there is a organized swim available from noon until 4. So if you are wanting to get in a practice swim there in the bay, that is the opportunity to do so. Please do not access the water prior to race day outside of that time. So that's just a good idea to go down there, get a feel for the water temperature, and just get exactly see what the water clarity is and see exactly what you're in store for on race day. Read the athlete guide. There is a lot of good information in there, especially if you're a first timer. There's a ton of good information in there that you really do need to know. If you're a seasoned veteran, especially as this is a new race, it is still a good idea to read that athlete guide. Usually, every race has one or two things that make it unique, and you may have done 50, 70.3s with Ironman and feel like you've got it locked down, and you probably do as a rule, but you don't want to get caught off guard by one little thing that's different about this race and have that included in the athlete guide. So give that a quick glance and make sure that you are aware of everything that is specific to this race. Now, this last one is a bit controversial. I may upset some people. I may have some people who strongly disagree with me, but I'm going to stand by this point and say that I have confirmed this with multiple highly experienced professional bike mechanics. There is no need to deflate your tires the night before the race. So there is a long-standing myth that when you drop your bike off in transition the day before the race, you should let the air out of the tires so that when the temperatures cool overnight and then warm again in the morning, that doesn't cause the air to contract and expand and pop a tube. There's a couple things that are working against that. One is there's not that much air in that tire to begin with. That 700cc, 23 to 28 millimeters wide, there's not a whole lot of air in there. So the temperature change required to cause that to pop is far excessive of what is going to be experienced by just leaving it overnight. So it's just not an issue. Um, Inevitably you will likely hear two or three tubes popping in on race morning, but it's not because they sat there overnight. What we typically will see in that case are athletes who are putting too much air in the tires. There's another long-standing myth that really is dying, and for good reason, is that the higher the air pressure, the better. Back in the day when we had tubular tires, we used to pump those things up to 150 plus psi. Now it's more like 100, and even more lately 90 and 80 for most athletes. But inevitably, there are athletes that will pump up their tires with too much air, causing them to blow. The other thing that we see causing flats on race morning are athletes that want to put on new tires, new tubes. In the day or two before the race, and inevitably, if there's a pinch or anything in that tube, it's going to pop when it gets aired up. But the good thing about leaving that tire inflated is if there is an issue like that, if there is a pinch flat or something, a pinch in that tube causing a flat, if you leave that tire aired up, it's going to pop before the race, where you'll have neutral support who can help you change that tube, as opposed to that tire blowing at mile 1, mile 10, mile 20, whatever the case may be. So there's just no need to deflate the tires overnight. I'm not necessarily even saying air them up before you drop them off, but you can always air them up in the morning and be just fine. All right, about to head out onto the swim course. So, the water temperature will be announced in the days leading into the race as an unofficial temperature. So, you'll have a good idea of what to expect on race day. But the official temperature is not taken until very early in the morning on race morning. Typically, they will post the water temperature at the check-in table. So when you go to pick up your packet, get checked in, you'll know exactly what the water temperature for that day was. Again, that is not an official water temperature, but it will give you an idea of what to expect. Currently, the water temperature is showing around 75 degrees. So I think probably like everything this year, temperatures are higher than expected. It's been a very warm summer, even up in New York. So right now, that temperature is hovering around 75 degrees. It is wetsuit legal up to and including 76.1 degrees. So we are kind of right there at the cusp of that. So things could certainly change. We've got about 10 days prior to the race. Things could go up, things could go down. Hopefully, some cooler weather, maybe some rain, things like that can help drive that water temperature down. Um, but I would say be prepared for either a wetsuit legal or a wetsuit optional swim. So if the water temperature is 76.2 or above, it then becomes a wetsuit optional swim. You can still wear a wetsuit, but you will start after everyone who does not wear a wetsuit, and then you will not be eligible for age group awards or world championship slots. I was at the 70.3 in Atlantic City this past weekend, not all that far away, and the water temperature was very very warm. It was 82 degrees or something like that on race day, and the race director was basically begging people not to wear a wetsuit because of that. But hopefully, temperatures will be a little cooler in Jones Beach, and you can make that decision. The race starts at 7 a.m. It is a self seated rolling start. So, what that means is prior to the race, you will line up according to your expected swim time. They will have signs with, I believe it's every 5 minutes or so, staging where you can line up with athletes that are going to be swimming a similar pace to you. It is a beach entrance and beach exit. So effectively, what you will do is start up there on the beach and then just run into the water. Once it gets deep enough, dive in and start swimming. So, a couple tips for the swim start. I recommend getting cued early. Like everything that revolves around a race, I recommend doing everything early. Arrive early, get checked in early, drop your bike off early, show up early in the morning to transition, and then get down to the swim start early and get queued up. This just allows some extra time to take it easy, decompress, not be in a hurry. This will allow you some time to get down to the swim start, be comfortable, collect your thoughts, think about your day, all of that, and then not have to fight a bunch of crowds closer to the time when the race starts. As the starting gun approaches, it's going to get real congested, real busy, and you may not be able to get to the staging area that is right for you. And again, that's just another stress added on to an already stressful day that you just don't need. So get down there early and get your place staked out, and then begin to focus on the race. And then don't queue slower than expected. Now, this is also conceivably a ramification of getting down there too late. Is you may not be able to get up as far as you would like to, simply because the corral is congested, and it's just going to be difficult to work your way through the crowd to get up to your swim time. So another reason to get down there early. But queuing with athletes that are of a like pace is going to reduce the amount of contact that you have with those that are swimming around you. There's going to be fewer people swimming over you. There's going to be fewer people to swim over. So it's just going to produce a more enjoyable, less painful swim, and allow you to take advantage of drafting. So if you can get into someone's wake there, either on their hip or on their feet, they are going to pull you along. So you'll receive the benefit of that, and that is best done with athletes of a similar um, time to you. This beach start is a great opportunity to settle in, and take it as easy as you need to. Now, if the water temperature is there in the mid 70s or even warmer, there is less chance for panic attacks. but it is not uncommon for athletes to experience those. Even if they never experienced them in training, it is still possible on race day. There's the energy is high, the nerves are high, and all that can combine to trigger a panic attack. But one of the things that really triggers that is cold water. When you jump in, you hit that cold water. It triggers a fight or flight response, which can then lead to that panic attack. But I really don't think the water is going to be cold enough to do that. But just wade in at your own pace. Take as much time as you need to get started. Splash some water on your face. Do some sink downs where you just go under the water, and then once you're comfortable, start swimming. That is actually going to produce a faster swim time, taking a little bit of time in the beginning there to get comfortable, than if you have to stop along the way several times, and manage any anxiety. So, as mentioned, this course is pretty straightforward, not a whole lot to it. It's basically an out, over, and back. It is a counterclockwise loop. So, they're starting on the beach. You swim out, make a little bit of a turn, then a 90-degree turn to the left, swim 100 meters or so, make another left hand turn, and then head back to the beach. It is a counterclockwise loop that heads into the sunrise. So that needs to be taken into consideration. So on that outbound side, first stretch, you will be swimming to the east, so right into that sunrise. It is mostly protected water. You can see it's kind of in a cove here. So we should have relatively calm conditions. There could be some chop from wind, but would not anticipate waves or any amount of an excessive amount of water movement here. So it should be a relatively calm, relatively easy swim. Knock on wood. Hopefully, I didn't mess anything up there for you guys. All right, so a couple tips for this swim course. Consider the sunrise when choosing goggles. As mentioned, you're going to be swimming into that sunrise on that first stretch right around 7 o'clock. That sun is still going to be relatively low on the horizon and is going to make sighting difficult. So, definitely recommend using some darker mirrored goggles so that you can still sight frequently and effectively, and have a good view of those buoys that are going to be marking the course for you. Break the course into segments. This is how I approach every long course race that I do. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I'm not thinking about racing 70.3 miles on this day. I'm not even thinking about swimming 1.2 miles. Basically, what I'm thinking is swim to that first turn. And even from there, I will break it down in swim to that next buoy. So buoy to buoy, those buoys are numbered. So you'll know exactly how many you've swam past and how many more you have to go. If you go out and count the buoys prior to the start, that's a strategy that I use. I know I have to swim to 8 buoys before I make the turn. So now, once I hit number 4, okay, I'm halfway there. I've got 4 to go, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm making the turn. So just breaking the course down into segments and focusing on very manageable spaces, and then celebrating those little achievements. If you're swimming buoy to buoy, they're every 100 meters, so it's like every 90 seconds to 2.5 minutes, something like that. You're getting a little victory, a little dopamine hit, a little pick me up, a little something to celebrate to keep you moving along the way. So I'll talk more about that, but break the entire course down into small manageable segments, and then break the swim down into small manageable segments as well. Sight often. There is nothing that will add unnecessary time to your swim than swimming extra yardage by not swimming straight. These buoys are going to be set again about every 100 meters or so. And so you should have plenty of opportunity to swim straight if you are sighting frequently enough. My rule of thumb is to start off sighting more frequently. And as I find myself not needing to correct, I will then take a little bit more time between each of my sights. So if I'm swimming straight, I may take a little bit longer. And then if I have to begin correcting, where I start to notice I'm not swimming as straight anymore, then I go back and sight more frequently. It is absolutely critical to swim straight. In order to swim straight, you need to be sighting frequently. And then upon exit, swim until your hand touches. This is a good rule of thumb for a beach exit, but really any kind of exit, this works. Um, you've been out there swimming for quite a long time. You're probably ready to get vertical, get out of the water, jump on that bike. So there is a tendency to see athletes stand up when it's sometimes chest deep, waist deep, knee deep. But you are going to be very inefficient moving through that water prior in those depths. So the most efficient thing to do is take a couple more strokes, and you'll pass a whole bunch of people who are trying to walk and burn in a whole bunch of more energy than you are, getting their heart rate up, trying to run through that water. Keep swimming until basically you can't swim anymore. When your hand touches sand, now you know it's time to stand up. You should be probably calf deep or so about that point, and then you can very quickly exit that water with very low energy expenditure. All right, and on to transition. So, a couple tips for transition: know your location. So there are going to be a whole lot of bikes in the transition area, a whole bunch of racks. They are all going to pretty much look alike. So you can actually lose a whole bunch of time trying to find your bike, going down the wrong aisle. So pay attention. The day before the race, when you're dropping off your bike, be cognizant of anything that's in the area, light poles, trash cans. All the rows have letters, I believe, that identify your rack, so know which letter you are. And it's a good idea just to walk through that transition area again to get a feel for what you're going to experience on race day. There's that value in repetition and doing things, seeing things prior to race day. The next two are kind of go together. Be efficient and pack minimally. So what we want to do is limit the amount of movements that are required in transition, limit the amount of things that you're going to do. So you don't want to have any decisions or as little as possible during the race. So make those decisions either in the days leading into the race or on race morning, according to the conditions, and be efficient and pack minimally. So the fewer things you have to do in transition, one, the quicker your time is going to be, but also two, the less likely you are to forget something. And then it's just courteous to those around you. You don't want a cluttered transition area that could conceivably interfere with those athletes that are racked around you. Practice in advance. So again, even things like walking through the day before, but be very efficient, very good at your transition, your T1, your T2. What are those steps that you take? What order are they? Figure out what works best for you. Practice it so that it's second nature when it comes time for race day. Now, this next one, kind of coming full circle. This tip was given to me by my friends at Precision Fuel and Hydration, and it is one of my favorite tips. I really like this one, and this is where that vitamin water bottle makes another appearance here on our webinar. So the reason I like those vitamin water bottles is they have a large mouth, so you can drink from them very quickly. So that Go bottle is a bottle where in T1, I'll have about 6 to 8 ounces of water. I'll have a serving of my nutrition, and I'll have a serving of electrolytes in there. So we've mentioned, and we will mention again, how critical it is to stay up on hydration, nutrition, and electrolytes. Those are very common execution mistakes that athletes make. It is very easy to get behind on those. And over the course of the last 30, 40 minutes to an hour or so while swimming, you've not had the opportunity, hopefully haven't taken in too much hydration, but you've been burning calories, you've been increasing your core temperature throughout that time. So it's important to get a jump on that. So that's what that Go bottle is. So as I'm doing my transition routine there, I will put on my helmet, throw on my glasses, and then I'll just very quickly take down those 6 to 8 ounces of water, and I'm already primed now for beginning my hydration nutrition protocols, and I've got calories and electrolytes as well as hydration for the beginning of the bike. So consider that. And again, that vitamin water bottle works well for me as opposed just a standard water bottle with a much smaller mouth that's going to be a little bit more difficult to drink from quickly. All right, headed out onto the bike course. Man, look at those roads. In store for what should be a fast, uh, slick, enjoyable bike course. It is a two loop course, as you can see there. Good road quality for the vast majority of the course. That is what you're in store for. Is that stretch of road? Kind of as I mentioned, not a whole lot to this course. Basically, you're going to come out of transition and right up to the north about 14 miles and turn around and come back down that exact same route. So not a whole lot to it, just a little bit of a east and west outback once you can complete the first north-south longer outback. But again, just not a whole lot to this bike course. Basically, you get out on that road, you ride halfway, turn around, and come back. It is flat, and I'm going to stick by that, saying that, of course, is flat, but there is a very slight elevation gain as you are northbound, which we would expect. Obviously, we are starting at or very close to sea level, so we would expect a slight gain in elevation as you go away from the coast. But if you were to look at the elevation chart, you would see a slant for the first half and down slant for the second, but it is a very minimal amount. But just know that chances are the wind is going to be coming out of the south. So that would most likely more than offset the quote unquote uphill climb to the turnaround. And then same thing, unfortunately, the quote unquote downhill would be more than offset by any slight breeze that is coming off of the water. So it is subject to coastal winds. That is most likely going to be potentially the most challenging section portion part of the bike course is just dealing with those winds. The course is largely exposed, so kind of depending on how much wind there is on the given day, which direction the wind is coming from. Good news is if you get it going, since it is a out and back course, a headwind is become a tailwind, and vice versa. That tailwind you enjoy is going to become a headwind on the way back, or it's going to be a side wind. So basically, you'll get it from both ways, both sides, whichever the way that it is coming from. So, a couple tips for the bike course. Again, it's two loops. Take advantage of this and settle in on the first loop, build throughout. So, I've already mentioned breaking the course down into sections. We definitely recommend continuing that here onto the bike course. The fact that it is two loops is great. You can approach it that way, but even then, break it down further from your first northbound section. Again, that's probably around 13, 14 miles to that turnaround. Use that time just to settle in, get ahead on your hydration and your nutrition, work on those protocols, make sure that everything is dialed in, working right, your heart rate settles, and just be patient on that first segment to that first turnaround there on the north end. Then as you're headed back towards transition, begin to build, begin to push a little bit more as you start that second loop. Kind of same thing. Now you know what you're doing. You've seen it. You've experienced it. You know exactly what you're in store for. You know exactly which way the wind is blowing, and how fast. You know exactly what you're in store for, so you can push a little bit harder. And then on that closing segment, you can push all the way in. It's going to be critical to stay cool. Now, temperatures are actually forecasted to be quite nice. I believe the highs are in the low 70s, but keep in mind we're here along the coast. The sun can get intense, there can be humidity, but just ensure that you are staying cool. Part of that is staying up on that hydration protocol. But as the core temperature rises, your body is going to limit how much output it is going to be allowed. So there is a inverse correlation between that increasing core temperature and a decrease in performance. So make sure that you are staying cool. So cool fluids. As you're going through those aid stations, I recommend taking a cold water bottle, getting some fresh cold water down. If it is starting to heat up, if that sun is coming out, maybe splash your face, your body, your kit with some of that cold water and cool the body from the outside as well. Stay aero as much as possible. So again, there's really not much to this course that is going to require you to come out of the aero position. So it's going to be fast in that regard, but just make sure that you are occasionally taking some breaks and really the turns, the U turns are going to be good opportunities for that. So don't you? Very few people are going to be taking those U turns in the air position, but as you are slowing down, as you are sitting up to make those U turns, just be cognizant of that. Stretch your back, stretch your neck, and then tuck back in and hold arrow for as long as you can, or hopefully until that next U turn where you'll get just a little bit of a break. As you approach the end of the bike course, begin to prep for T2, start thinking about the run. So, there are two things that I will focus on in those closing miles. My rule is that I don't take in any fluids, any food, any gel in the last 20 minutes. I don't want to come in and transition and come into the run start with my stomach full of fluids where it's going to be sloshing around and just causing issues. So over those last 20 minutes, I will allow my stomach to empty so that I can start that run fresh. So for me, that's anywhere from 6 to 8 miles, depending on the course. So in this case, it's around mile 50 to 52 or so. Is going to provide that 20-minute window. So just prior to that, in that maybe 20 to 30-minute window, I'm going to make sure that I am up on my hydration, my nutrition, my cooling protocols. I'm going to take in any last minute nutrition there to get me through the end of the bike and into the beginning of the run. But then once that 20-minute clock, so to speak, begins, I am not going to take in anything else. The other thing that I'm going to do in preparation for the run, the T2 and the run, is I'm going to begin to increase my cadence. But what I'm looking to do here is match my cadence on the bike to my run cadence. In a 70.3, I have a cadence around 85 RPM. As a rule, that's kind of just where I settle in at my 70.3 power. That's what's comfortable for me. That's a good crossover point between my power output and my heart rate. So I'm give or take 85 RPM. Usually, if I'm airing, it's a little bit lower, so I'll call it somewhere between 80 to 85. My run is closer to a cadence of 90 steps per minute per foot there. So in those last couple miles, what I'm going to do is increase my cadence from that 80 to 85, more so 85 to 90, trying to normalize around 90 RPM for those closing miles. And what that's going to do is just get my legs used to that turnover at 90 steps per minute. It's really more of a neurological thing where you're training the brain, which then tells the legs what to do. So the intent here is begin to learn that, dial that in, and then when you come out of transition out onto the run course, you're automatically going to be running at that higher turnover, which is going to provide a faster pace and better form out there onto the run course. All right. So as we head into T2, the tips here intentionally look a lot or exactly like the tips for T1. Be efficient, pack minimally, practice in advance, and consider a go bottle. So the one caveat that I will say that is different here is T1. I've got 6 to 8 ounces of water in that bottle just because I'm going to take it all down real quickly there in transition at the bike rack. For T2 on the run, I will put more like 10 to 12 ounces, maybe a little bit more. And I will still have a serving of nutrition, a serving of electrolytes in there. If I'm feeling really good and I'm thirsty and I know I need those calories, I'll just go ahead and take that full 12 ounces there and drink it at my bike rack in transition. If my stomach is maybe a little sour, a little upset, maybe I'm not quite ready to take in that much fluid, I will allow that bottle to live up to its name, and then it will become a go bottle. So I will take that with me, and I'll just kind of nurse that bottle over the first quarter mile, 1 mile, 2 miles, whatever my stomach is allowing for me to take that in. Hopefully sooner than later. But I have had races where I've had to kind of nurse that bottle over the first couple miles, and I'll say it's great. It's a great source of energy, great pick me up. So consider adding that to your transition. So it works well for 70.3s. It works really well for any Ironman events that you are doing as well. Not so practical for sprint and Olympic, or even necessary for those races, but I'm a big advocate of these go bottles if you are racing 70.3 or Ironman distance events. All right, on to the run course. This is going to be a neat one. Fully expecting a really great run and a really neat venue for this. As I mentioned, I was just at Atlantic City 70.3 this past weekend, a couple of days ago. And the run was along the boardwalk there, which was super neat. It's also a fantastic surface to run on. So you guys are in store for a similar experience here, running along the boardwalk. So it's going to be a really nice venue to run. I anticipate a ton of spectator energy. So you guys are in for a treat after you come out of T2. So the run course, I would say, is right on par with the swim and bike. Not a whole lot to it. It too is a two loop course. Basically, you're going to come out of transition, make your way down to the beach, turn along the boardwalk, run along the boardwalk until the boardwalk ends. It actually turns into an actual paved path. So the wood slats transition to pavement somewhere around halfway down. You'll run out about 3.5 miles. You'll turn around, you'll come back the exact same route, and then you'll do that all over again. So again, very, very basic two loop course, two out and backs. Not a whole lot to it. Absolutely no elevation gain out there, so to speak. So again, you're in for a fast, flat course. Now it is going to be fully exposed to the sun. If the sun is out, you are going to be baking in the sun for this whole run. So even though those temperatures are forecasted to be pretty mild, with that coastal sun, it actually could warm up. So take that into consideration, both with your skin protection as well as your cooling protocol. So just know that at this point, you've been out there for a long time, and your core temperature is going to be on the rise. And if that sun is out, then the temperature that is shown can be deceiving. The heat index is actually going to be much warmer than what you are experiencing there. All right, couple tips for the run. Feed on the energy. Again, if it's anything like Atlantic City, which I feel like it's going to be even better, there's going to be a ton of energy down there. It's going to be very spectator friendly. So really feeding on the crowd is a great source of energy. It makes it fun. It makes it memorable. So engage with them. When they cheer for you, give them a little nod, give them a little something to acknowledge them. But really feed off that energy. And then very similarly to the bike, negative split the run here. This is a very difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of discipline and restraint. So effectively what we want to do is get faster as we get further in on the course. We see the exact opposite of that from vast majority of athletes. They start off too fast, and then inevitably they slow down, and a lot of eventually will end up walking because they went out too hard too early. So do the inverse of that. Just kind of like the bike, I would say let that first 3.5 miles out to that first turnaround, let that be very conservative, very easy, almost a forced restraint. Like you should feel like you want to run faster. Once you get down there to that 3.5 mile turnaround point, begin to build on your way back to transition and beginning the second loop. And then as you begin that second loop, this is really where you kind of start to let the horses loose and kind of start to push. This is where you're going to be reining in a ton of other athletes. This is where you're going to see others that have not executed their race properly or as well begin to slow down, begin to walk. But if you follow these suggestions, you're going to be running faster on the second loop than you would on the first. So, for the final time today, I am going to remind you to stay hydrated. If you have stayed hydrated in the days leading into the race and on your bike in transition, you are going to be feeling strong and powerful out there on this run course. If you have not, then you're definitely going to feel it on the run. This is where a lack of hydration, nutrition, and electrolytes really manifest. Chances are you are not going to feel dehydration or lack of electrolytes or overheating on the bike course. It's going to manifest on the run. One, you've been out there for at this point 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. The temperature is rising, so it's a warmer part of the day, and you have the accumulation of all the heat that your body has produced. So those muscles have been working. A byproduct of that is heat. So now your body has all this heat that it has to dissipate. So again, that's going to be an issue there. It is going to be very important to stay hydrated and stay cool. So again, hopefully we get some nice fall temperatures. It would be a little bonus if it were more so of an overcast day. But again, deal with the course as it comes, deal with those conditions as they come. And then my suggestion is to take something from every aid station. One, you paid a whole bunch of money to be part of this race, so might as well get your money's worth and take everything from the aid station. But also, more practically, more importantly, you can benefit from something at every aid station. So for me, my nutrition protocol in a 70.3 or Ironman is I take a gel at every other aid station. And I take at least 2 cups of water to rinse that down, get the osmolality right so my body can absorb and use that gel. And then on the quote unquote off aid station, I may just be following my cooling protocol. So I may just be grabbing some ice either to hold in my fist, to pour down my shorts, pour under my cap, maybe some cold water to pour over my head or pour over my arms, pour over my kit. So it's for me, it's a focus of nutrition on the first aid station and then cooling on the second, and then I continue that throughout. But chances are you could use either a gel, a shot of Gatorade, a shot of water, maybe some ice, something like that from every aid station. So plan those out in advance and know when you are coming up on those. Know what you need. Know what it is that you're going to take from that aid station as you approach it. And from there, we head to the finish line. This is what you've been dreaming about. This is what you've been working for the months. The blood, sweat, and the tears have all gone into this finish line experience. So, a bit of advice here: clean up. This is probably going to be your Instagram profile, your Christmas card picture, all of that for the rest of the year. So, make sure to wipe away all that blood, sweat, tears, and snot. Zip up your kit, ditch the sponges and the towels in the designated areas, and look as good as you can after having traveled at this point 70.2 miles under your own power. More importantly, take it all in. Be very present as you are entering into that chute, as you are stepping onto that red carpet. Be present. Listen for your name to be called. Be aware of where your support crew is. And really soak it in. Enjoy this experience. Plan your finish. A lot of people love to do something fun. This can even be something that is a great focal point as you're out there. Perhaps you're suffering out there on the run course. Think about, what am I going to do? How am I going to celebrate this accomplishment? Is it arms up like the lady here in the picture? Is it a heel clicking jump? Is it a cartwheel? Is it whatever it is, whatever, make it your own, plan your finish and enjoy it, and find some space. This is an individual sport. You've been out there operating under your own power, under your own strength. So if you're coming into that finishing chute onto that red carpet with several other people, maybe just hang back a little bit, let them go, let them have their moment, and have that finish line experience to yourself. Now, if you've ran the last 12 miles with a new friend from across the country, by all means, share the finish line with them as well. And then for me, it's all the high fives. This is one of my favorite things to do, having raced all those miles, and then be able to celebrate with kids, with strangers, with my support crew. I love just running down that chute, getting out high fives to anyone that is brave enough to make contact with triathletes after 70.3 miles. All right, guys, that is what I've got. I've got just a few minutes here for some questions. So, several questions were submitted in advance. I did my best to incorporate that into the deck. A couple have come in during the presentation, so I will get to as many of those as I can here. If I do not get to your question here in the next few minutes that we have, I will respond to you via email in the next couple of days. If something comes up, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to me. My email is john@tribetriathlon.net. I will also be sending a replay of tonight's webinar out tomorrow morning. You can just reply to that email with any questions, and I'll be glad to help you in any way that I can. All right. So, first question: will there be a pre-swim warm-up? No. I'm pretty sure I saw this in the athlete guide. It did say that there will not be a pre-race swim. So, basically, when that cannon fires and the race starts, that is going to be your first opportunity on race morning to get into the water. So, do what you need to do to get warmed up prior. Maybe you have a dry land routine. Maybe it's something like exercise bands or tubing to get warmed up, but you will not have the opportunity to get into the water prior to the race starting. All right. Are bags used in this race? So the only bag that I would anticipate you getting, and I believe this is covered in the athlete guide as well, is a morning clothes bag. So that morning clothes bag will allow you to wear some warm clothes down there to transition in the morning down to the swim start. I believe temperatures are forecasted to be in the upper 50s, low 60s, something like that. So it is quite cool. So you may want to wear some warm clothes, and then that morning clothes bag gives you the opportunity to drop those off and have those returned to you at the finish line area. But no, you will set up transition just like you would at a normal triathlon. Largely, those gear bags that I'm assuming you're asking about are specific to Ironman racing, where they have change tents and all that. But no, this will be just your regular traditional setup where everything is there at your rack location. What if I get a flat? So if you get a flat, best case scenario is that you are a ninja when it comes to changing flats, and in about 3 minutes you can change your own flat and be back out on the road and have barely missed a beat. Conversely, if that's not you, there is neutral support available. So there will be motorbikes or trucks or vans out there on the course roaming and helping cyclists out there. So that said, it is important to be self-sufficient with as much as you can. So things like minor mechanics, if you were to drop a chain or something like that, or change a flat tire, because even though there is neutral support out there that is available to help, there is no guarantee how quickly they will be able to get to you. One, they're going to have to find you, then they'll have to get to you and have availability. So they may be right up the road helping someone else or two or three others. So hopefully that's not really an issue, but if you do get a flat, the best thing to do is start to work on it. Go ahead and get your wheel off, get the tire off if you can. Along the way, even if it's an official, that the official is not going to be able to stop and help you, but they may be able to radio in to say that there's a cyclist at mile 25 who needs neutral support. So get the attention of someone, one of the race officials, even if they're not that neutral support vehicle, and then just continue to do what you can while you are waiting. Hopefully they get to you soon and get you back on the road, but you may be able to be completely self-sufficient, get that tire changed and on your way before neutral support gets to you. So it's out there, but you just don't know um, what it is that how long it's going to take to get to you. Should I carry my own nutrition or take the hand ups? This is really, I would say, kind of two things. One is what have you practiced? What have you used in your training? What has proven safe and effective for you? Stick with that. So if you are able to stick with your tested and proven nutrition protocol while taking the hand ups that are available on course, excellent. One, you don't have to carry your nutrition with you, which is really nice. Two, it's free, so you don't have to spend money on it. Or we'll say it's prepaid, included in your registration fee, so no additional cost to have to spend on that. And another advantage is the liquids are going to be cold. Um, Cool liquids, cold liquids are more palatable. So you're going to drink more of them just naturally. So it's going to help with your hydration and your nutrition. Those cold fluids are going to help regulate the core temperature. So there are definitely advantages to taking advantage of the hydration and nutrition that is provided on the course. Now, if you have trained with something besides what is available on the course, then you should likely stick with that. So, the old adage of nothing new on race day, I I don't necessarily fully abide by that, but I would say nothing significantly different or new on race day. And I would say switching over to a nutrition product that you do not have well vetted would certainly qualify as a major change. That Gatorade Endurance that they have on course has a very strong flavor. For me, I get palate fatigue from it very quickly. I personally, I'm not a fan, so I will take a fresh cold water bottle from every aid station, and kind of as I mentioned, get a couple good chugs of that cold water to help control my core temperature internally. I will then spray my face, spray my body with that cold water to cool myself externally, because with me seemingly doesn't really matter how cool the day is. I'm still getting hot on the bike and really hot on the run. So I do everything I can to mitigate that. So even though I'm not taking that Gatorade from the aid station, I will still take a cold water. So yeah, I'm bringing my own nutrition with me on the bike. Fortunately, I have a full 56 miles worth of nutrition that fits in 3 bottles, and I'm able to carry 3 bottles on my bike. So not having to refill or anything like that at the aid stations. So it's a little bit easier than when you carry your own at an Ironman event where you're having to be out there for better than twice as long. And then same thing on the run. I mentioned that I do actually use the gels on course. I like the Martin gels. That's what's available currently. That works for me. So I do a mix there of the gels and then water, cola, other stuff as well. But primarily gels and water is my go-to on the run. So I take advantage of that, and I really hate to run with anything in my hands or pockets or anything like that. So that's another reason that personally I like utilizing the on-course nutrition. But again, whatever works for you, whatever you've tested, you really, really, really don't want to end up with any GI distress that is going to shut you down quite quickly and really take some of the joy out of race day. So down here to just a couple minutes. Got a couple questions to get to, but there's one here that I want to end on, and I'm kind of thinking about my answer. Do you have any secret tips? And that's where, like, that's kind of in this whole webinar. These certainly aren't like secret tips, but they're perhaps my best tips. I'm a big fan of the Go bottle and that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of breaking down the course into segments and eating the elephant one bite at a time. But I'll say my favorite top tip, secret tip, if you will, that is perhaps my worst kept secret, is to race with gratitude. There is a lot of power in that. There's a lot of energy in that. Inevitably, this race at some point will get hard. And when you think back to those that you are grateful to have, grateful for the support that you have been given from them, you will glean energy from that. So, recommendation here is to spend a few minutes prior to the race, just communicating your gratitude to those around you, those that have supported you through training, those who have encouraged you to take on this worthy endeavor, and those that have supported you along your way. Your family, your partner, your kids, your coach, your training partners, all those. Express your gratitude to them, and come race day, you will be glad that you did so. Likewise, there are hundreds of volunteers out there that are working for free so that you can do this. So be patient with them, be kind to them, and express your gratitude to them as well, because this would not happen without the help of those volunteers. And then same thing with law enforcement and other first responders, those police officers that are stationed at the intersections. That's something I do as often as I can in a race. Every time I go through one of those intersections, and those officers have been standing there probably for hours in the elements, I always just give them a quick thank you as I go through, and then thank as many volunteers out there on the course as you can. Those that are out there getting all nasty, all dirty, soaking wet, filling up little cups of water, little cups of Gatorade, putting pretzels in little cups, all that kind of stuff, just so that we can go out and do what we do. Make sure to express your gratitude to them. So, that said, we are coming up on our time. I want to express my gratitude to you for your time. If you're still here with me, I appreciate you hanging in there till the end. I hope this time has been beneficial. I hope there's been 1, 2, 10, 20 things in here that have been beneficial and will serve you well this next weekend at the race. I hope you have a wonderful experience. I hope you go out and crush this course. I wish you all the best. Good night.